The alarm clock rang at 4:30 in the morning. Mira Valley reached out to stop it before she even opened her eyes. For a short moment, she stayed in the warm bed, but she knew she couldn't rest for long. She had to be at the Blackwood Grand Hotel by 5:30 a.m., and the bus ride took 40 minutes. Mira's small apartment had only enough space for a bed, a tiny table, and a small kitchen, but it was always clean. She made sure of that. After a quick shower, she put on her navy blue work uniform. The hotel's golden emblem was on the pocket. She looked in the mirror and pushed a strand of her dark hair behind her ear. Mira was 28 years old, but she already had little tired lines around her eyes. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from her younger sister, Lena. Need to pay for school trip, $200. Can you help? Miss you. Mira sighed and typed back, we'll send money on Friday. Miss you too. Every bit of money Mira earned went to help her 3 younger siblings. Their parents had died 5 years ago, and Mira had become like both a mother and father to them. She moved to the city to find better work while her aunt took care of the children. The morning air was cold when Mira waited at the bus stop. A shiny, expensive car drove by fast, splashing dirty water onto her clean uniform. She closed her eyes and counted to 10. It was going to be one of those hard days. When she arrived at the Blackwood Grand, the morning staff was already busy. The hotel was a tall, beautiful building made of glass and steel. It served the richest and most powerful people in the world. You're cutting it close, said Rhonda, the head of housekeeping, frowning at her watch. Sorry, the bus was late, Mira said, clocking in with only 2 minutes left before she'd be late. I've got a special job for you today, Rhonda said, looking at her clipboard. The royal suite needs to be ready by noon. The last guests left it in a mess, and the new VIP is coming early. The royal suite was the hotel's most special room, 5,000 square feet of pure luxury on the top floor, with its own elevator and big windows showing the whole city. I've cleaned it before, but it usually takes 3 people, Mira said in surprise. Just you, Rhonda replied. Everyone else is busy with the big conference downstairs. I know you can handle it. Don't let me down. Mira took the service elevator to the top floor, pushing her cleaning cart. When she opened the door to the royal suite, she gasped. Saying it was a mess was an understatement. Empty champagne bottles were all over the marble counter. Designer clothes were thrown across the furniture. The bed in the master bedroom looked like a tornado had hit it. 8 hours to clean this, Mira muttered. Might as well be 8 minutes. She started working right away, going from room to room. By 11:30 a.m., sweat was dripping down her back, and her legs hurt from bending, lifting, and scrubbing. But finally, the suite was starting to look beautiful again. While polishing the last crystal glasses in the bar area, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was her younger brother, Jace. Roof started leaking again. Need money for repairs. ASAP. Mira's heart sank. Between Lena's school trip and now the roof repairs, her paycheck was already spent before she even got it. She leaned against the bar, feeling so tired. The soft sofa in the living room looked very inviting. Just 5 minutes, she told herself. She sat down, thinking she would rest for only a moment. But her body was so tired from working 60 hours a week for 3 years that she fell asleep. The sound of the private elevator opening woke her up. Her heart jumped in panic. She stood up quickly, but it was too late. A tall man in a perfect charcoal suit stood in the doorway. Mira recognized him instantly from the hotel pictures. Lucian Blackwood, the 35-year-old billionaire who owned this hotel and many others around the world. His sharp blue eyes locked on hers. His face didn't show any clear emotion. Mira's heart pounded. She thought, this is it. I'm going to get fired. I'm so sorry, Mr. Blackwood, she said quickly, trying to smooth her wrinkled uniform. I was cleaning the suite and I just meant to sit for a minute. Lucian didn't answer right away. He just studied her with an intense look that made her nervous. Unlike his friendly smile in the hotel ads, His real expression was calm and unreadable. "What's your name?" he asked finally, in a deep voice. "Miravale, sir. I've worked here in housekeeping for 3 years." He set his briefcase down and walked further into the room, looking around at the now spotless space. "You cleaned all this by yourself?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Mira said nervously. "I knew you were arriving at noon. I almost had it finished. I shouldn't have sat down. It won't happen again." Lucian walked to the bar and poured himself water. "When did you start your shift today, Miss Vale?" 5:30 this morning, sir." "And you've been cleaning this suite since then?" "Yes, sir. It was very messy when I arrived." Something that looked almost like a smile touched his lips. "Yes, the Andersons are known for their wild parties. 6 hours of cleaning would tire anyone." Mira couldn't believe he wasn't angry. "Thank you for understanding, Mr. Blackwood. I'll finish and get out of your way right away." As she turned to grab her cart, Lucian spoke again. "Wait." Mira froze. "You have something." He pointed to his own cheek. Mira quickly wiped her cheek and realized she had a smudge of cleaning solution there. Great. She had been sleeping in front of the hotel owner with cleaner on her face. "There's a staff meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the Grand Ballroom," Lucian said. "All department heads and team representatives will be there. I want you to attend." Mira looked confused, so he added, "I like to meet the people who make my hotels run well. You did exceptional work here today." "Thank you, sir. I'll be there," Mira replied. Lucian nodded and looked down at his phone, signaling she could leave. Mira quickly pushed her cart to the elevator, her mind spinning. What had just happened? Was this a good thing? Or was he going to embarrass her in front of everyone tomorrow? When her shift ended at 7 p.m., Rhonda stopped her. "Heard you met Mr. Blackwood today," Rhonda said with concern. "Do you still have a job?" "I think so," Mira said. "He invited me to the staff meeting tomorrow." Rhonda's eyes widened. "The executive staff meeting? That's unusual. Is that bad? Should I be worried?" Rhonda shrugged. "Who knows? Lucian Blackwood is smart but hard to read. Just be on your best behavior." On the bus ride home, Mira couldn't stop thinking about Lucian Blackwood. When he looked at her, she thought she saw something more than just a boss catching an employee. Maybe curiosity? Recognition? When she got home, Mira made a sandwich and checked her bank account. She sent $200 to Lena for the school trip, but told Jace the roof repairs would have to wait. Before bed, she set her alarm for 7 a.m. She wanted to look better than she had today, with no cleaner on her face and no pillow marks from the sofa. But she couldn't sleep easily. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Lucian Blackwood's intense gaze. It wasn't just that he was handsome or rich. There was something about him that seemed different, maybe even lonely. Still, she shook her head. Lucian Blackwood was one of the richest men in the country. His world was far away from hers. Tomorrow's meeting might just be a formality before firing her. The next morning, Mira arrived an hour early. She wore her best blouse under her uniform and even put on some mascara and lip gloss. She felt silly, but she was nervous about seeing him again. The grand ballroom was set up with rows of chairs facing a podium. Managers and supervisors filled the seats. Mira sat in the back, feeling out of place. At exactly 9 a.m., Lucian Blackwood walked in with 2 assistants. The room became silent. He wore a navy suit and everyone paid attention. "Good morning," Lucian said. "I visit each of my hotels once a year. During these visits, I look for exceptional talent, people who go above and beyond." His eyes scanned the room. When they landed on Mira, she thought she saw the smallest hint of a smile before he looked away. "The Blackwood Group is expanding," he continued. "We will open 3 new hotels next year, and we need people who care about excellence." Mira found herself fascinated. He clearly loved his work and wasn't just a rich man enjoying his money. When the general talk ended, Lucian said there would be individual meetings. An assistant read a list of names. Mira wasn't really listening until she heard, "Miravale, 10:15 a.m. She quickly looked up. Other people turned to see who she was. Her cheeks felt hot. As the meeting ended, Rhonda came to her. "Well, you've caught the big boss's attention. What did you do in that royal suite yesterday?" "Nothing. I just cleaned it," Mira said honestly. Rhonda raised an eyebrow. "Be careful, Mira. Men like Lucian Blackwood don't notice women like us, unless they want something." Mia felt upset when Rhonda suggested something strange about her meeting. "It's not like that," Mia said quickly. "He probably just wants to tell me off for falling asleep." "If you say so," Rhonda replied, not sounding convinced. "But if it's something else, remember, mixing work and love never ends well for the worker." Rhonda walked away and Mia checked her watch. It was 9:45 a.m. In just 30 minutes, she would be meeting Lucian Blackwood, the CEO, in his fancy office. Whatever the reason he wanted to see her, she would soon find out. Her stomach felt full of butterflies as she went to the staff bathroom to check her hair and clothes. She knew this was probably about yesterday when she fell asleep on the job. She hoped she wouldn't lose her job. Still, she felt a strange excitement about seeing Lucian Blackwood again, those bright blue eyes that seemed to see right into her thoughts. She straightened her uniform jacket, took a deep breath, and walked toward the executive suite. She didn't know her life was about to change. At exactly 10:15 a.m., Mia knocked on the big office door. Her heart beat so fast she thought others might hear it. "Come in," said a deep, familiar voice. Mia stepped inside. Lucian Blackwood was behind a large desk, looking at his laptop. The room was beautiful, with leather chairs, dark wood furniture, and huge windows showing the city view. "Mr. Blackwood, you wanted to see me?" she asked. Her voice was steadier than she thought it would be. Lucian looked up and studied her for a moment. Then he pointed to the chair in front of him. "Please, sit down, Miss Vale." Mia sat and folded her hands in her lap so they wouldn't fidget. "I've been looking at your work file," Lucian said, tapping a folder. 3 years here at the Blackwood Grand. Never late, rarely sick. Guests always praise the cleanliness of your rooms." "Thank you, sir," Mia said, confused. This didn't sound like a warning. "Tell me, Miss Vale, are you happy working here?" The question surprised her. "Yes, of course, it's a good job." "That's not what I asked," Lucian said, leaning forward. "Are you happy?" Mia hesitated. No one had asked her that in years. "I'm grateful for the work," she said at last. "It lets me take care of my family." "Family? Children?" Lucian asked. "No," Mia said. "My younger brother and sister. Our parents died 5 years ago. I'm responsible for them." Lucian nodded slowly as if making a note in his mind. "I admire that. Not many people would sacrifice as much as you have." He suddenly stood and walked to the window. "I have an offer for you. I need a personal assistant, someone careful with details, hardworking, and able to keep secrets. Based on your record and what I saw yesterday, I think you'd be perfect." Mia stared at his back. "You want me to be your assistant? But I don't have experience." "Experience can be learned," Lucian said, turning to face her. "The qualities I want are natural. You have them." He sat again. "The job pays 3 times your current salary, with benefits and a schedule that works for your family." Mia's head spun. That much money could fix the roof, pay for Lena's school trip, and maybe send Jace to college. "Why me?" she asked. Lucian gave a small smile. "Because when I caught you sleeping on a $10,000 sofa in my hotel suite, your first thought wasn't about losing your job. You apologized for the trouble you thought you caused me. That tells me about your character." Mia's cheeks warmed. "I still shouldn't have fallen asleep." "No, you shouldn't have," Lucian agreed. "But after cleaning for 6 hours straight without a break, I'll overlook it this time." He slid a contract toward her. "Take this home and read it. If you accept, you start Monday. The job will include some travel since I work in different locations, but we can plan around your family." Mia's hands shook as she took the paper. "Mr. Blackwood, I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it." His phone buzzed. "I have another meeting." Do you have questions? Mia had many, but she only asked, what exactly would I be doing? Managing my schedule, talking to my team in different places, handling some personal things, and making sure my day goes smoothly. It's demanding, but I think you can handle it. As she left, she felt like she was dreaming. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. On her way back to the housekeeping area, she met Celine Marquez, one of the front desk managers. Celine was in her 40s, kind but serious, and had been like a mentor to Mia. There you are, Celine said. Rhonda told me you met Lucien Blackwood. What happened? I think I'm okay, Mia said, still in a daze. He offered me a job as his personal assistant. Celine's eyes widened. His PA? That's amazing. But she lowered her voice. Be careful, he has a reputation. What kind? Mia asked. He's brilliant in business, but his personal life is messy. 2 broken engagements in the last 5 years. They say he's married to his work. The last assistant quit after 6 months with a nervous breakdown. Mia's excitement dimmed. Why would he want me then? I have no experience. Maybe he saw something in you, Celine shrugged. Just keep your eyes open. If you need advice, I'm here. Mia thanked her and changed for her regular shift. The whole afternoon, her mind kept going back to Lucien's offer. The money could change her family's life. But was she ready? And what about Lucien? He both fascinated and worried her. That night, she sat at her small kitchen table and read the contract carefully. The terms were even better than he had said. Housing allowance, health insurance, bonuses. His bold signature was at the bottom. She called her Aunt Talia. Everything okay, Mia? You don't usually call on weeknights. Everything's fine, Tia. How are the kids? All good. Jace is still talking about college. That's why I'm calling, Mia said. I've been offered a new job. It would pay enough for Jace to go to college, fix the roof, maybe even move to a better place. That's wonderful, Mia. What's the job? Personal assistant to the owner of the hotel chain. There was silence. The owner? How did that happen? Mia gave her a short version of the story, leaving out the part about falling asleep. It sounds like a good chance, Talia said carefully. But will you be happy? You've already given up so much for the kids. I'll be fine, Tia. This is what I've been working for. After hanging up, Mia signed the contract. On Monday, she arrived in the best outfit she had, a simple black dress she had worn for her parents' funeral. She tied her dark hair in a bun and wore light makeup. The receptionist in the executive office looked surprised but led her to a corner office next to Lucien's. Inside was a desk, computer, phone, and a printed schedule. A few minutes later, Lucien came in wearing a light gray suit. Heads turned as he passed. People looked at him with admiration and a little fear. Good morning, Miss Vale, he said. I see you found your way. Coffee? I can get it for you, Mia offered, standing. He raised an eyebrow. I meant, do you want some coffee? Your job is to assist me, not serve me. There's a difference. Oh, Mia said, cheeks warm. Yes, coffee would be nice, thank you. The morning was busy. Lucien gave clear instructions but expected her to keep up. By lunch, her head was spinning with names and plans. We're flying to Chicago tonight, Lucien said later. Pack for 3 days. The company jet leaves at 8 p.m. Tonight? Mia asked, panicking. I need to arrange things for my family, he nodded. Fair enough, make your calls. Mason will email you the details. Mia called her aunt, who promised everything would be fine. Still, Mia felt nervous. She packed quickly and took a taxi to the private airport. The sleek jet waiting there amazed her. Lucien was already inside, working on his laptop. Just in time, we're about to take off, he said. Mia sat across from him, gripping the seat as the plane sped down the runway. First time flying private? Lucien asked. First time flying at all, Mia admitted. He looked surprised. Well, you picked a good first flight. The skies should be clear. After takeoff, Lucien worked while Mia studied the Chicago schedule. I should warn you, he said without looking up. These inspections can be intense. I have high standards. I've seen how you run the Blackwood Grand, Mia said. I understand. Lucian closed his laptop and gave her that deep, searching look. Most people in your place would be scared right now, but you seem calm. Mia smiled. Mr. Blackwood, I've been raising 3 kids since I was 23. I've worked 60-hour weeks cleaning rooms for billionaires who don't even know my name. Not much scares me anymore. For the first time, Lucian truly smiled. It made him look younger. I made the right choice with you, Miss Vale. Mira, she said quickly. If we're going to work closely, you can call me Mira. Lucian thought for a moment, then nodded. Mira it is, he said, and you can call me Lucian when we're not around the other employees. When they got to Chicago, a car was waiting for them. It took them to the Blackwood Lake View, a hotel Lucian had just bought. Even though it was very late at night, Lucian still wanted to walk around and look at the hotel. The place was only half fixed up, but as they walked through, Mira was surprised at how much Lucian noticed. He saw a light that was crooked, wallpaper that didn't match, and even a door that squeaked. The hotel manager followed behind them, quickly writing down every problem Lucian pointed out. The grand staircase will need to be completely redone, Lucian said. The size is all wrong. But sir, that will take weeks longer to finish, the manager said nervously. Lucian's face became serious. If it's not done right, we don't open, period. By the time the tour ended, it was past midnight. Mira was tired, but Lucian still looked full of energy. We'll continue tomorrow morning at 7, Lucian told the manager. Then he turned to Mira. Let's get you checked in so you can rest. Their rooms were on the top floor, the only part of the hotel that was completely finished. Mira's suite was bigger than her whole apartment back home. Is this really all for me? She asked, amazed at the beautiful room. You're part of my executive team now, Lucian said. This is the standard room. As he turned to leave, Mira called out, Lucian! He stopped at the doorway. Thank you for this opportunity. I promise I won't let you down. Something passed through his eyes, something she couldn't quite understand. I know you won't, Mira. Good night. The next morning, Mira woke up early and dressed in one of her best outfits, a simple blouse and a pencil skirt. She met Lucian in the hotel restaurant for breakfast. He was already there, reading documents at a corner table. I've been thinking about the renovation problems, Lucian said right away, not even saying hello. We need to replace the project manager. He's not good enough for Blackwood standards. That seems a little harsh, Mira said before she could stop herself. Everyone deserves a chance to improve. Lucian looked up, surprised by her honesty. This isn't a charity, Mira. It's a business. Excellence isn't optional. I understand, she said carefully, but firing him without warning will hurt the team's morale. Why not give him clear instructions and a deadline? If he doesn't do well, then replace him. Lucian stared at her for a long time, and she worried she'd said too much. Then, slowly, he nodded. A reasonable suggestion. We'll try it your way. That day, Mira saw Lucian work hard and expect perfection in everything. But he also did what she had suggested. He gave the project manager clear instructions instead of firing him right away. That evening, after another long day of checking the hotel, Lucian surprised her by asking her to have dinner with him at a small Italian restaurant nearby. You've done well today, he said once they were seated in a quiet corner. Most new assistants don't last the first day of an inspection. It's been educational, Mira said politely. Lucian smiled, clearly knowing what she really meant. You mean you've learned I'm demanding and difficult to work for? I already knew that, Mira said with a smile. Your reputation precedes you. And yet you took the job anyway. The benefits outweighed the risks, she said. Lucian raised his water glass in a pretend toast to smart decisions. As they ate, the conversation moved away from work. Lucian asked about her family, and Mira talked about her siblings, Jace, who loved school, Lena, who was artistic, and Marco, who loved soccer. You've given up a lot for them, Lucian said. They're my family, Mira said simply. What about yours? Do you have siblings? Lucian's face darkened. A younger brother. We're not close. I'm sorry to hear that. Don't be. Some relationships aren't worth saving. His voice was so final that Mira didn't ask more. Instead, she asked about how he started building his hotel business. Lucian told her about long hours, failures, and the joy of creating something lasting. Mira saw the passion in his eyes, the same passion that made him demand so much from others. They walked back to the hotel in a comfortable silence. Mira stole a glance at him in the moonlight. He was handsome, yes, but it was his complexity that drew her in, the moments of vulnerability beneath his serious exterior. At her door, Lucian hesitated. Thank you for your input today. It's refreshing to have someone who will challenge me. Even when I disagree? Mira asked. Especially then, Lucian said, his blue eyes intense. Good night, Mira. When she closed the door, Mira leaned against it, her heart beating faster than usual. What was happening? That morning he had just been her intimidating new boss, but now she felt something else between them, something not quite professional. She told herself not to confuse kindness for something more, but deep down she feared it might be too late. The Chicago trip lasted another day, then they flew back home. Within weeks, Mira had settled into her routine as Lucian's personal assistant. It was a tough job, early mornings, late nights, and constant travel, but it paid well. For the first time in years, she wasn't struggling to pay her bills. She had sent money to fix the roof, paid for Lena's school trip, and even started a college fund for Jace. She had also visited her siblings twice in the past month. The only problem was Lucian, not because he was hard to work for, but because Mira thought about him too often. She noticed the way his eyes crinkled when he was truly amused, his rare, real smiles, and the gentleness when he spoke about his charity for foster children. Earth to Mira, a voice said, snapping her out of her thoughts. Mira looked up and saw her friend Celine in the doorway. They had stayed friends after Mira's promotion and met for coffee whenever Mira was in town. Sorry, I was just reviewing the Tokyo trip plans, Mira lied, quickly clicking away from the blank email she had been staring at. Celine smirked. Sure you were. It wouldn't have anything to do with your boss finding excuses to have dinner with you, would it? It's not like that, Mira said, her cheeks growing warm. Mr. Blackwood is just focused on the new Tokyo property. We have a lot to discuss. Celine said doubtfully. Just be careful, Mira. I've worked here long enough to see how these things usually end. There's nothing to be careful about, Mira said quickly. We have a professional relationship, that's all. Okay, Celine said, raising her hands. I'm just looking out for you. Anyway, are you excited about the charity gala tomorrow? The Blackwood Foundation Gala was one of the biggest charity events of the year. Mira had helped plan it, but hadn't planned to attend. I'm not going, Mira said. I'll be working behind the scenes. Really? Celine said, eyebrows up. Because I heard a rumor that Lucian asked for you to be there. That can't be right. Just then, Lucian walked in, talking on his phone. I don't care what it costs, do it if that's what it takes to close the deal. He hung up and turned to Mira. Did the dress arrive? What dress? She asked. For the gala tomorrow. My stylist picked something for you. It should have been delivered this morning. You want me to go to the gala? Of course, Lucian said. You planned most of it. You should be there to see it. But I've never been to something like that. I wouldn't know how to act. You'll be fine. Just be yourself, Lucian said. I have a meeting in 5 minutes. We'll talk about Tokyo after. When Mira got home that night, she found a big box waiting for her. Inside was the most beautiful dress she had ever seen, a deep blue gown with silver beads. A note said, "The car will pick you up at 7 p.m. tomorrow." She held the dress against herself in the mirror. This wasn't her world. She didn't belong among rich and famous people. But a small part of her wondered what it would feel like to stand beside Lucian as more than just his assistant, even for one night. The next evening, Mira spent more time getting ready than ever before. She put her hair in an elegant style and carefully did her makeup. When she put on the blue gown, she hardly recognized herself. At exactly 7 p.m., a sleek black car arrived. Mira stepped in, her hands trembling a little. The gala was at the Blackwood Grand's huge ballroom. Outside, a red carpet led to the doors, with photographers everywhere. The driver opened her door and bright camera flashes hit her eyes. She froze until she saw Lucien beside her, looking handsome in a black tuxedo. "You look beautiful," he said softly. "Thank you for the dress. It's gorgeous," she said. "The dress is just fabric," Lucien replied, looking into her eyes. "You make it beautiful." Her heart skipped a beat as he guided her down the red carpet and into the ballroom. Inside, the place looked magical. Twinkling lights, ice sculptures, and shining tables. "What do you think?" Lucien asked. "It's magical," she said. All night, Lucien kept Mira close as he greeted guests and gave speeches. He seemed warm and charming, so different from his intense work self. "He's different with you," said an elegant older woman named Eleanor, a longtime board member. "I've never seen him so attentive to anyone." "We work closely together," Mira said, uncomfortable. Eleanor smiled. "My dear, I've seen plenty of people work closely with Lucien. None of them made him look at them the way he looks at you." Before Mira could answer, a disturbance came from the entrance. A young man who looked very much like Lucien had arrived drunk and was making a scene. Lucien's body tensed. "Excuse me," he said sharply, walking toward the problem. "That would be Dane," Eleanor said quietly. "Lucien's younger brother." Eleanor sighed. She felt sad about her family. Mira watched as Lucien spoke to a younger man in a low, serious voice. The younger man, Dane, became angry. "You think you're so perfect, don't you?" Dane shouted loudly so that people nearby could hear. "Saint Lucien, saving the world one charity at a time. If only they knew what you're really like." Lucien grabbed his brother's arm and pulled him out of the ballroom. The other guests pretended they didn't notice, talking again as if nothing had happened. Mira waited a moment, then followed them into the hallway. She saw Lucien and Dane still arguing. "You need help, Dane," Lucien said, sounding upset. "This can't go on." "What I need is my interrondance," Dane slurred. "But you made sure I'll never get a single cent of it, didn't you?" "You know that's not true," Lucien replied. "The trust fund rules were Father's decision, not mine." Dane laughed in a mean way. "And you never influenced him at all, did you? Perfect Lucien, the son who could do no wrong." "Go home, Dane. You're drunk," Lucien said. "I'm not done talking to you." "Yes, you are," Lucien said firmly. "My driver will take you home. We'll talk when you're sober." Dane glared at him, but let the security guards lead him away. Lucien stood still with his back to Mira, his shoulders stiff. "Lucien," she said softly, "are you okay?" He turned and Mira saw pain in his eyes that made her heart ache. For a moment he looked surprised to see her, like he had forgotten where he was. Then his face became calm again. "I'm fine," he said. "I'm sorry you had to see that." "You don't need to apologize," Mira said. "He's your brother. Family is complicated." Lucien's jaw tightened. "Dane makes it his mission to be as complicated as possible." He offered her his arm. "We should go back to the gala." The rest of the night, Lucien acted like the perfect host. Polite, charming, and generous. But Mira noticed the lines around his eyes and how his smile didn't quite reach them. When no one was looking, his face looked tired and sad. When the event was over, Lucien said, "You must be tired. I'll have the car take you home." "What about you?" Mira asked. "I have things to take care of here." She touched his arm gently. "Lucien, I know it's not my place, but if you want to talk about what happened with your brother, I'm a good listener." Something soft appeared in his eyes for a moment. Maybe sadness or longing, but it went away. "Thank you, Mira, but that won't be necessary. I'll see you on Monday." Her heart felt heavy as she left. The weekend felt slow for Mira. She kept thinking about Lucien, not just as the confident boss, but as the man she had seen when his guard was down, carrying pain he didn't want to share. On Monday morning, she came to work early and saw Lucien already there. He looked like he hadn't slept all weekend. "Good morning," she said carefully. "How are you?" "Fine," he said without looking up. "The Tokyo trip needs to be moved up. We leave Wednesday. Please make the arrangements." And just like that, they were back to talking only about work. During the trip to Tokyo, Lucien worked all the time, answering calls at all hours and speaking to Mira only about business. On their third day, they were walking through the unfinished lobby of the new hotel when Lucien's phone rang. His face darkened as he listened. "Is he?" "I understand. Make the arrangements. I'll be on the next flight," he said. When he hung up, his face was pale. "We need to go home immediately. Dane has been in an accident." The next few hours were a blur of canceled meetings and booked flights. On the plane, Lucien stared out the window. "He'll be okay," Mira said softly. "The doctors aren't sure," Lucien replied. "He was driving drunk. He hit a tree. He's in critical condition." "I'm so sorry. I should have done more," he said. "I knew he was getting worse, but I was too angry to reach out." "This isn't your fault," Mira said gently. "I'm the older brother. I was supposed to protect him." Lucien said bitterly. Mira hesitated, but then placed her hand over his. "Whatever happened, you care about him. That's what matters now." He looked at her hand, then at her face. "Mira," he said, his voice rough, "I don't know what I would do without you." When they reached the hospital, Dane was in surgery. Lucien paced the waiting room, and Mira stayed beside him. Hours later, a doctor came. "Mr. Blackwood, your brother is stable. He has a long recovery ahead, but he should make it." Relief filled Lucien's face. "Can I see him?" "He's unconscious, but yes." Lucien turned to Mira. "Will you come with me?" She was surprised, but nodded. In the ICU, Lucien held his brother's hand. "I'm here, Danny. I'm not going anywhere," he said softly. Mira's eyes filled with tears at his tenderness. They stayed all night. When Dane woke up the next morning, Lucien spoke to him alone. When he came out, Lucien's face looked lighter. "He's going to be okay," he said. "And he's agreed to go to rehab." "That's wonderful news," Mira said. "I need to arrange his care. Can you handle the office?" "Of course." As she turned to go, Lucien caught her hand. "Thank you for everything." "That's what friends are for," she said. "Is that what we are? Friends?" he asked. His gaze was intense. Before she could answer, a nurse came over. The moment was gone. Over the next weeks, Lucien divided his time between the hospital and the office. Mira took on more work, and Lucien trusted her completely. One evening, as they worked late, Lucien suddenly said, "Dane asked about you today." "He did? He wanted to know who the pretty assistant was who stayed at the hospital. He also asked if we were together." Mira's heart skipped. "What did you tell him?" "I told him the truth, that you're the most remarkable woman I've ever met, and I'd be a fool not to see that." Mira blushed. "Lucien." "I know," he said quickly. "I'm your boss, and this would be complicated, but I can't pretend I don't feel something for you." Mira's mind raced. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to," he said sadly. "I just needed you to know." At the elevator, Lucien said softly, "Whatever you're thinking, know that nothing has to change. Your job is safe." Mira stepped inside. Her heart pounded. She was falling in love with Lucien Blackwood. The next morning, she decided to tell him how she felt. But Lucien was at an emergency meeting all day. At noon, Celine came in. "Have you seen the news?" she asked. "No. Why?" Celine showed her a gossip website. The headline said, "Blackwood heir finds love with former maid." There was a photo of her and Lucien at the gala. The article said she had seduced him for her career. "It's not true," Mira said, her voice shaking. "I know," Celine said, "but people love to gossip about men like Lucien." Mira's phone rang. It was Lucien. "Have you seen it?" he asked. "Yes." "You have nothing to apologize for, but the board is worried about how this looks. They've called a meeting. Please stay out of sight and work from home." Hours later, there was a knock on her door. Lucien stood there, looking tired but firm. "The board wanted me to say we have no personal relationship," he said. Mira's heart felt heavy. I know it's the smart thing to do. That's what I told them, Lucian said. But then I realized something. I'm tired of always being careful about my personal life. I'm tired of letting fear of what people think decide my choices. He stepped closer, his eyes never left hers. So instead, I told them the truth. I told them I'm falling in love with you, Mira Vale, and if they have a problem with that, they can find a new CEO. Mira stared at him, shocked. You... what? Lucian, you can't risk your company for you, he finished. He took her hands in his. Yes, I can, because without you, none of it matters anymore. Tears filled Mira's eyes. But what about the gossip? The things people are saying about me? About us. Let them talk, Lucian said firmly. The people who matter know the truth, and the truth is, I've never felt this way about anyone before. He reached up and gently wiped away a tear from her cheek. I know this is sudden. I know there are 1,000 reasons this might not work, but I'm willing to take that chance if you are. Mira looked into his eyes. She saw both hope and softness there. Suddenly, all the doubts she had been holding on to started to fade away. The truth was simple. She loved him, even with all his complications. I'm falling in love with you too, she whispered. I've been fighting it because it seemed impossible. You're Lucian Blackwood, and I'm just... Don't, he interrupted sharply. Don't ever say you're just anything. You're the most genuine, loyal, and brave woman I've ever met. You're exactly who I need, Mira. And then he kissed her. His lips were gentle but sure. Mira melted into his arms, all her worries disappearing in the warmth of his touch. For that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the gossip, not their different backgrounds, not the problems they might face later. When they finally pulled apart, Lucian rested his forehead against hers. So, he said softly, what happens now? Mira smiled up at him, her heart full. Now, she said, we figure it out together, one day at a time. Outside, the city lights sparkled as night came. Mira knew tomorrow would bring more challenges, more gossip, more people watching them, more obstacles. But tonight, in Lucian's arms, she allowed herself to believe their love was strong enough to survive anything. Sometimes fairy tales did come true. Sometimes a maid really could win the heart of a prince, and sometimes love was worth every risk. The next morning, sunlight came through Mira's curtains, waking her softly. For a moment, she kept her eyes closed, enjoying the warmth of Lucian's arm around her waist. It had been 3 months since their first kiss in her apartment, and she still couldn't always believe it was real. You're thinking too loudly, Lucian mumbled against her hair. I can almost hear your brain working. Mira turned in his arms to face him and smiled at his sleepy blue eyes. I was just thinking how lucky I am. I'm the lucky one, he replied, pulling her closer. After that first kiss, their relationship had moved quickly. Within weeks, they were almost never apart. At first, the media attention was huge. Photographers followed them, gossip columns guessed about their relationship. But Lucian stayed calm through it all, and that impressed Mira. We should get up, she said slowly. You have that meeting with the investors at 9. Lucian groaned. Being responsible is overrated, says the man who built a billion-dollar hotel company by age 35. He chuckled, then looked serious. Speaking of responsibility, have you thought more about what we talked about? Mira knew he meant moving into his penthouse. She had hesitated, not because she didn't want to, but because it felt like a huge step. I have, she admitted. And I'm still not sure. It's a big move, Lucian. Is it the penthouse? He asked. We could find somewhere new, somewhere that's ours. It's not the place, she said, sitting up. It's making sure we're not rushing. Everything has happened so fast. When you know, Mira. I've never been more certain about anything. I love you, she said softly. That's not the problem, but we're still figuring out a lot, like my job. Since their relationship became public, Mira had left her job as Lucian's personal assistant to avoid people thinking she got special treatment. She now worked for the Blackwood Foundation, managing charity projects. She loved it, but she sometimes missed seeing Lucien every day at work. "The foundation needs you," Lucien said. "You've done amazing things there already." "I know, but sometimes I feel like our worlds are still separate." "Then let's bring them together," Lucien said. "Move in with me. Be part of every part of my life, not just evenings and weekends." Mira looked at him. His eyes were so hopeful that she felt her walls come down. "Okay," she said finally. "Let's do it." Lucien's smile was so bright it made her heart skip. "Really? Really? But I want to keep paying my rent until my lease ends, just so I have my own space a little longer." "In case this falls apart?" Lucien asked, sounding a little hurt. "In case I need to remember who I am outside of us," she corrected gently. "This relationship has changed my life. I just need to remember I'm still Mira Vale, the girl who worked 60-hour weeks cleaning hotel rooms to help her family." Lucien's face softened. "I understand, and I love that you never forget where you came from." They sealed the promise with a kiss. At the foundation office later, Mira was looking at grant applications when her phone rang. It was her younger brother, Jace. "Hey, what's up? Shouldn't you be in class?" "It's lunchtime," he said. "I wanted to tell you before anyone else. I got in. Stanford accepted me." Mira's hand flew to her mouth. "Jace, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you." "It's because of you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I never would have applied without your encouragement. And the financial aid is incredible." "You did this yourself," Mira said. "All I did was believe in you." After they hung up, Mira's heart was full of pride. She texted Lucien the news. He replied right away, "That's wonderful. Let's celebrate dinner at your brother's favorite restaurant this weekend." That was Lucien, always thinking of others. Her family had been unsure when they first found out she was dating her billionaire boss. Her sister Talia had even warned her to be careful, saying people from such different worlds usually didn't last. But Lucien had won them over. He treated them like equals. He asked Jace about school, talked about art with Lena, and went to Marco's soccer games. "He really loves you," Talia had said after Lucien spent a weekend at their small house, sleeping on the pull-out couch without a single complaint. "I really love him too," Mira had replied, watching Lucien help Marco with penalty kicks in the backyard. That night, as Mira packed for the move, she found an old photo album. Inside were pictures of her parents, smiling, full of life. Tears came to her eyes. "I wish you could have met him," she whispered to their faces. "I think you would have liked him once you got past the money stuff." A knock on the door made her jump. Lucien stood there with takeout. "I thought you might want dinner while you pack," he said. But then he noticed her red eyes. "You've been crying. What's wrong?" Mira showed him the photo album. "These are my parents." Lucien sat beside her. "You have your mother's smile and your father's eyes. I miss them so much, especially at times like this, big life changes. They would have had so much advice about us moving in together." "What do you think they would have said?" "Mom would have told me to set clear boundaries. Dad would have joked about not letting you leave wet towels on the floor, but mostly they would have been happy I found someone who treats me well." "I'll do my best to live up to their expectations," Lucien promised. "Even the towel thing." Mira laughed. They ate dinner and shared stories about their parents. For the first time, Lucien told her more about his own family, how his mother had died when he was 12, and how his father only cared about appearances and success. The next day, Mira moved her first things into Lucien's penthouse. Standing in the huge closet, she suddenly felt nervous. "Second thoughts?" Lucien asked. "Just a little, like I should be cleaning this place, not living here," she admitted. "This is your home now," Lucien said. "Ours." Over the next weeks, they settled in. Mira added personal touches. Family photos, colorful pillows, books she loved. Lucien liked it, saying it finally felt like home. They had to adjust. Mira wasn't used to the staff, and Lucien wasn't used to her wanting to cook sometimes. instead of ordering in. But they talked things through and grew stronger. One beautiful Saturday, Lucian suggested a drive along the coast. The sun was shining and a gentle breeze blew. They stopped at a quiet beach Lucian loved from childhood. "I used to come here with my mother," he said softly. "After she got sick, when she had good days, we'd sit here for hours just watching the waves." Mira held Lucian's hand tightly. She felt special and happy that he brought her to such an important place from his past. They found a spot on the sand and sat down together, watching the waves in the ocean. Lucian seemed quieter than usual, almost like he was nervous. Mira gently bumped his shoulder and said, "Penny for your thoughts?" Lucian smiled a little and said, "They're worth more than a penny." Then he took a deep breath. "Mira, these last few months have been the happiest of my life." "Mine too," Mira said softly. "Before I met you," Lucian continued, "I thought I had my life figured out. I only cared about work. I didn't need anything or anyone else. But you changed that. You showed me what I was missing, real connection, kindness, and love that doesn't ask for anything in return." Mira's heart started beating faster. Lucian reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, soft velvet box. "I brought you here because this place has some of my best childhood memories," he said. "And now I want it to be part of our story too." He opened the box. Inside was a beautiful, shiny diamond ring. "Mira Vale," he said, "will you marry me?" Mira looked at the ring, then at Lucian's face. His eyes were full of love, but also a little worried. "Is it too soon?" he asked quickly. "We can wait if you're not ready." "No," Mira said, wiping away a tear. "It's not that. Are you sure? Marriage is a big step, and we come from such different worlds." "I've never been more sure," Lucian replied, taking her hand. "Our backgrounds don't matter. What matters is how we feel about each other, and the life we want to build together." Mira looked into his eyes. She saw her future there. Yes, there would be challenges, but also joy, teamwork, and love that had already beaten so many problems. "Yes," she said clearly. "Yes, I'll marry you." Lucian's face lit up with the biggest smile she had ever seen. He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly, just like their relationship. Then he pulled her into his arms and kissed her with all the love and gentleness she adored. Mira felt all her doubts disappear. This was right. This was where she belonged. Later, as they drove back to the city, Mira couldn't stop looking at the ring, not because it was expensive, but because of what it meant. A promise, a future, a love that had surprised them both. "We should call your family," Lucian said, "and Dane. I want them to hear the news from us." Mira smiled. "They're going to be so excited, especially Lena. She's been hinting about being a bridesmaid since our third date." Lucian laughed. "She can be maid of honor if she wants. Whatever makes you happy makes me happy." When they got home, Mira wanted to make the calls right away. Jace shouted with joy when he heard the news. Lena squealed so loudly that Mira had to hold the phone away from her ear. Marco, now 13 and trying to sound like an adult, gave his formal congratulations and asked if Lucian would let him drive one of his sports cars when he got his learner's permit. Talia cried happy tears. "You deserve all this happiness, Misha," she said. "I see how he looks at you. That man adores you." Dane, to Mira's surprise, also seemed happy. His relationship with Lucian had gotten better since his accident. He was now 6 months sober and working part-time at the Blackwood Foundation. "About time my brother locked you down," Dane joked. "You're the best thing that ever happened to him. I've never seen him this happy." After the calls, Lucian opened a bottle of champagne. They stood on the penthouse balcony, the city lights sparkling below like stars just for them. "What are you thinking?" Lucian asked, seeing Mira's thoughtful face. "I'm thinking about how unlikely all this is," she said. "A year ago I was cleaning hotel rooms, barely making enough money to live." "And now?" Lucian asked. "And now I'm going to be your wife," Mira said. "The most remarkable woman I've ever known," Lucian added. Mira laughed. I was going to say, and now I'm drinking champagne that probably costs more than my first car. But your version is nice too. Lucian laughed, a real happy laugh that used to be rare but now came often. That's why I love you. You never let me forget what's truly important. As they looked out over the city where their story began, Mira felt thankful. Life had been hard, losing her parents, supporting her siblings, working exhausting jobs, but those struggles made her the woman Lucian loved. And Lucian had faced his own struggles too. They were from different worlds, but what they had wasn't about money or status. It was about truly seeing and accepting each other. I love you, Mira whispered. Not because of all this, she said, waving at the luxury around them, but because of who you are when none of this matters. And who is that? Lucian asked softly. The man who sat on my old sofa eating takeout while looking at photos of my parents. The man who plays soccer with my little brother. The man who really sees me when most people never did. Lucian held her tighter. And I love you because you remind me every day that the most valuable things can't be bought. Trust, loyalty, and love that makes you a better person. Mira thought about the day they met when he found her sleeping in his hotel suite. Who could have guessed that embarrassing moment would lead to a love that changed both their lives? So, Mrs. Soon-to-be Blackwood, Lucian said playfully, what do you want to do first as an engaged couple? Well, Mr. Soon-to-be my husband, Mira said, pretending to think, I think you should kiss me under the stars. That, Lucian replied, is something I'll do tonight and every night for the rest of our lives. When they kissed, Mira knew this was just the start of their story. There would be challenges and maybe even gossip, but none of that mattered as long as they faced it together. 6 months later, Mira stood in a dressing room at the Blackwood Grand. Lena was fussing with the train of her wedding dress. Through the window, Mira could see the garden turned into a magical flower wonderland. You look beautiful, Talia said, tears in her eyes. Mira smiled at her reflection. The dress was fit for a princess, but what made her truly beautiful was her happiness. It's time, Celine said, poking her head in. Mira took a deep breath. Jace was waiting outside to walk her down the aisle. Ready to be Mrs. Blackwood? He asked. More than ready, Mira replied. As the music started, she saw Lucian at the altar. His face lit up when he saw her, his eyes full of love. Time seemed to stop. She remembered everything, the struggles, the chance meeting, the changes, and she knew she'd do it all over again. Sometimes fairy tales came true. Sometimes love could bring two different worlds together. And sometimes it all began with one simple act of kindness, like letting a tired cleaning girl keep her job after being found asleep in the royal suite. Mira reached Lucian and put her hand in his. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Their real story, away from gossip and headlines, was just starting, and it was going to be beautiful.